Hello and welcome to second part of this workbook analysis report video. In previous video, we have exported the details from our sample file. So let us move or see one more time what we have exactly exported from our sample file. Now under this workbook analysis window, we had selected all the items and then exported those details into a new Excel file. So instead of exporting all of the items, you could target only particular category of items and then click on this export. Your exported file will contain the details only related to the checked items here. If your file is big and complex, then I would suggest you to export each of the category as a separate file. Time being, I had selected all the items and have exported it into a new file. So let us quickly open the file which was being created once we have exported this. So this was the file which was being created once we have exported it. So here you can see that separate sheets are being created for each of the items we had selected. Now we will look at each of these sheets and briefly understand what information is gathered and documented there and how it can be useful to us. Even though I will take you through each one of the items one by one, however, if anything needs more explanation, then I would suggest you to post your question into Excel forum with regards to this add-in. Honestly, I believe that you may get more insights from there for this add-in in addition to what I will provide you. So let us look at this summary sheet to start up with. So let us first scan this summary sheet and note the items of interest, such as the items that you might not expect to find or to find in different numbers to what it is being reported currently. What you are going to notice is going to be influenced by your previous experience and expectations from this worksheet or a similar spreadsheet from the same user or a business unit and your knowledge of Excel in general. Some of the items which I personally feel might be good one to start up with are very hidden sheets, formulas with errors, formulas with numeric constants, formulas referring to external workbooks, inconsistent formulas, and so on. Further, I feel some of the information which could have been captured in this summary sheet would be like this. Other properties like file, like previous author, last modified date, last print date, company specific information could have also been displayed over here. Whether the formula calculation was set to automatic or manual inside the file could have been also mentioned over here. Then whether there are any circular references or any VB or macros present in the file could have been mentioned here. And finally, now if you see from Excel 2010 version onwards, there are new features which are being added to Excel like Power Query, Power Pivot, Power View. So those also could have been mentioned, and existing tables like pivot tables and tables or what if analysis scenarios could have also been documented over here, but those seems to be missing from this summary sheet. And finally, it would have been also great if all the sheets were hyperlinked to this summary sheet under this report. And hence this tool is just a starting point for you. There are many more ad hoc spreadsheet auditing tools in the market, which I would suggest you to explore on your own. So let us move on to the next sheet now. Now the next three sheets are linked workbooks, DD links, and data connections. So all of these give you a bare minimum name of the link or a reference and not where that particular link is being used inside this particular file. They do not indicate whether the link file is existing or is being deleted or nor whether the link content is up to date. You will have to see those in the workbook relationships. If any file is used as a source to Power Query or Power Pivot, then those details are also not being captured over here. Now next three sheets are visible sheets, hidden sheets, and very hidden sheets. Now all of these provide you information related to the sheets which are present in your current Excel file. Sometimes a user may hide a particular sheet using a VBA editor so that its sheet will not appear, even the unhide sheet window, and another person may assume that there are no other sheets. Using details given here, you can identify all the sheets present in your file, whether displayed or not displayed. More additional information which could have been included here was related to the print setup area on each of the sheet, headers and footers for each sheets, any objects embedded inside those sheets, or any chart sheets present in the file could have also been mentioned over here. So let us move on to the next tab, which is All Formulas tab. This sheet will display all the formulas inside your Excel file with references to the sheet names, cell addresses, formula text, and value calculated from that particular formula. Now, since the formula text is in A1 style, many people find it difficult to understand how the same formula is relative terms has been copied over the areas, and they expect these details could have been also displayed using R1 C1 style. Also, because A1 style references are being used in this tab and unique formulas tab have the same exact details. The vast majority of the spreadsheet contains rows, columns, or blocks of repeated formulas, also known as clones or copies of unique formula. One of the most important tests of structured soundness of the spreadsheet is to verify the integrity of such areas, and there are no inconsistent entries inside them. Now, under this sheet, you will have to manually scan all of the formulas to identify the discrepancy, and honestly, I feel that it can be a little time consuming. Now, let us move on to the next tab, which is array formulas. And the array formulas are special type and entered with a keystroke of Ctrl, Shift and Enter pressed together. This can be sometimes very complex and difficult to understand for people who have never used array formulas. There was a time I used to have array formulas a lot. However, I have minimized its usage after I found that many of the Excel users have difficulty in understanding and maintaining those array formulas. If you have to review any array formulas, make sure you have a good understanding of what they are and what they exactly do. And this particular sheet will help you understand if there are any array formulas being used inside your Excel file. So now let us move on to the next sheet, which is error formulas. Now under this sheet, you will get the details of all the cells with sheet references, formula text which are giving an error. Now this can be really helpful to quickly locate these kind of error cells on a complex file. Even though you can use go to window to locate those error cells, but this list can be a part of your quality checklist to ensure that there are no cells which may result into an error. It will help you in avoid getting the incorrect results and later on troubleshooting those problem areas. Further, this sheet currently does not display cells which display hash marks because of inadequate width of the column or overflow error. Now let us move on to the next tab, which is logical formulas. The results from the formulas can be either logical, true or false. For all such kind of formulas whose results or values are either logical, numeric, date or time or textual, these next 4 tabs will provide the details of those formulas with the sheet names and cell references. So these logical formulas, numeric formulas, date and time formulas and textual formulas will have those details. So let us move on to the next tab, which is numeric constant formulas. Now many times it happens that while preparing financial statements or financial projections, there are some mismatches in the totals being calculated using the formulas. These can be rounding off errors or actual errors. Rather than investigating and rectifying those errors, users would manually enter some constant inside the formula to match it. For an auditor, this can be really difficult to find, and hence this next 2 sheet will provide the information related to those cells. Formulas which have been hard coded, whether numeric values or textual values, are being listed over here. So to take an example like this formula, here you can see 716 has been hard coded over here. Similarly, there might be some textual constants which has been used. So when we develop any application, we always want to avoid any unnecessary change in the future. Because every time we make a change, we have to make sure that it does not introduce any bug. Embedding constants in Excel formulas means that every time we change the constants, we have to change the formulas. The formulas may be very sophisticated and the same constant may be used few thousand times in another formulas. Sometimes even the context can be different. So instead of hard coding the constants in the formulas, we should always use named ranges or store the constants in a separate cell and reference to that particular cell. I would even go a step further and storing all the constants in a parameter file or a table. When we open an Excel workbook, then these constants would be loaded to an appropriate name ranges. So if these constants are decoupled from the Excel workbooks, then we do not have to modify the formulas every time we change those constants. So with that, let us move on to the next tab, which is called as nested ifs. Now this tab shows the formulas with more than one level of if nesting. This is a useful indicator of a common cause of a difficulty in understanding the formulas with multiple logic paths. Personally, I would draw some kind of a flowchart with the decision boxes to understand the formulas with nested ifs. It really helps to understand some logic behind the formulas quickly and at times find errors or mistakes inside the formula. If something like that could have been visually displayed in this particular sheet, that would have been really great. Also, some kind of a complexity measure is applied to all the formulas and listed separately like this nested ifs would have been also worth value additions. So other formulas could have been also evaluated on the complexity levels. Excel allows you to have up to 64 nested if formula statements, and I am not sure if anyone ever has reached that limit. But I have reviewed an Excel formula that has 10 nested if statement, and took me a lot while to understand this and discovered half a dozen errors. So nested if statement can be error prone and very difficult to review, especially with the multiple conditions. I always encourage users to consider breaking down the nested if formulas or using other Excel functions like choose, VLOOKUP and etc. Now this particular sheet can be helpful for you to understand if there are such kind of formulas being used in your currently Excel file.